Imagine it's a Friday afternoon. Your paycheck hits your bank account, $3,200 after taxes. You've been grinding all month, putting in the hours, dealing with deadlines and meetings. Later that same day, you open your monthly investment report, and your portfolio is up $3,950 this month. You blink, double-check the numbers. This isn't a lucky break from some hot stock tip. It's not a one-time spike in the market. This is the third month in a row that your investments have out-earned your job. Your money, sitting there passively, generated more than you did by showing up every day. That's the moment when work quietly stops being your only source of survival. You realize something profound in that instant. You could take a week or two off, maybe even a month, and your money would still grow. You're not financially free yet, not by a long shot, but the balance has shifted. For the first time, your income is no longer completely tied to your labor. It's like a quiet revolution happening in your financial life. This moment has a name, the crossover point. And here's what haunts me. Most people will work for 40+ years without ever knowing this moment even exists, let alone experiencing it. They'll clock in, clock out, and repeat until their bodies give out, never realizing there's a turning point where the math flips in their favor. Questioning the traditional path, think about the default script we're all handed. Work for a paycheck, spend it on bills and wants, repeat the cycle month after month. The hope at the end? Social Security kicks in, maybe a small retirement account you've scraped together, and somehow it's enough to scrape by in your golden years. But what if there were a specific date on the calendar when the game actually ends? A day where you win not by luck but by design. What if you could calculate exactly when your money starts sustaining you, instead of you sustaining it? Positioning this video, let me be clear. This isn't about budgeting apps that ping you every time you buy a snack, or tips on cutting $5 coffees to save pennies. We're not diving into vague financial advice that leaves you feeling motivated for a day but changes nothing. This video is about a number, a date you can calculate right now, a moment when math starts working for you instead of against you. It's the point where you officially win the game of capitalism, and it's more attainable than you think. Where does this idea come from? The crossover point originates from a book called Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin and Joe Dominguez, first published back in 1992. What makes it so powerful isn't some motivational pep talk or a mindset shift. It's pure math. It's a calculable, inevitable outcome if you follow certain principles consistently over time. There are two financial lines in your life that are always moving. The first is your living expenses, what it costs to keep the lights on each month. Let's use a new example. Say your monthly expenses are $3,500, which adds up to $42,000 per year. That includes housing, food, transportation, insurance, and whatever lifestyle choices you make. Maybe a gym membership or streaming services. For many, this number hovers around there depending on where you live and how you live. The second line is your investment income, the passive returns from dividends, interest, and growth in your portfolio. At the beginning, this line is practically flat, maybe generating $20 to $30 a month from a basic savings account. It's barely noticeable. Why does compounding change everything? Investing isn't linear like saving in a jar. It's an exponential curve that accelerates over time. Your expenses might creep up slowly with inflation or lifestyle changes, but that investment income line starts bending upward, getting steeper as compound interest kicks in. Time is the fuel that powers this engine. The crossover point is the exact moment when that investment income line crosses above your expense line, when your passive earnings exceed what you need to live, making work truly optional. Putting real numbers on it makes it tangible. With annual expenses of $42,000, using the 4% safe withdrawal rate, a standard guideline for sustainable portfolio draws, you'd need about $1.05 million invested to generate that income indefinitely. That's your crossover number, the target where your money covers your life without you lifting a finger. Now, let's look at the slow path, the baseline scenario where you let time do most of the work. Say you're 28 years old, earning $55,000 a year, and investing $600 a month at an average return of 7.5%, which is conservative compared to historical market averages. After 10 years, at age 38, you'd have around $110,000, generating maybe a few $100 a month in passive income, nowhere near your expenses. After 20 years, at age 48, about $320,000, with income around $1,000 monthly. Still a gap but closing. After 30 years, at age 58, roughly $780,000, getting you closer but not quite there. You'd hit the crossover around 63 to 65 years old, right at traditional retirement age. This is what happens when you invest modestly and wait for compounding to grind away. The big shift in thinking is realizing the crossover point isn't fixed. It's a function of two variables: how much you invest and how much you spend. You can attack it from both sides to speed things up dramatically. Cutting expenses shortens the time in a powerful way. If you optimize and reduce your monthly expenses from $3,500 to $2,700, maybe by downsizing, cooking more, or negotiating bills, your annual need drops to $32,400, and your crossover number falls to $810,000. That alone cuts 6 to 8 working years off your timeline without earning an extra dime. Attacking both sides of the equation amplifies it even more. Bump your investing from $600 to $1,200 a month, perhaps by picking up a side hustle or advancing in your career, and with the lower expenses, your crossover moves from 65 to your early 50s. You didn't magically earn more money overall, you just changed the equation, redirecting more of what you have into growth. For the radical but possible scenario, imagine getting aggressive, house hacking to slash housing costs, going remote to move to a lower cost area, trimming extras without misery. Get expenses down to $2,000 a month, and your crossover number is now $600,000. Investing $1,200 monthly at 7.5%, you'd hit that in 18 to 20 years, financial independence in your late 40s. This isn't fantasy, it's math for those willing to rethink their setup. The psychological shift is as crucial as the numbers. Early on, investing feels painful. Every dollar tucked away is one you can't spend now, and small balances feel pointless amid market wiggles. But around $75,000 to $120,000, it changes. A 2% gain means real money, like $1,500 or more. Your portfolio feels alive and compounding becomes visceral. Your view of work evolves, you gain leverage before full crossover. This leads to the freedom gradient. Freedom isn't binary, all or nothing. It's gradual. When investments generate $400 a month, that's utilities covered passively. At $800, food's handled. By $1,500, most living costs are met. Each milestone boosts options. Negotiate better at work, say no to draining tasks, or pivot careers. You feel the benefits long before the lines fully cross. Coast Fire illustrates this perfectly. It's when you've invested enough that, without adding more, compounding alone hits your crossover by retirement age. For a $1.05 million goal by 60, at age 30, about $170,000 invested means your Coast Fire. Work becomes optional sooner. Switch to part-time or a passion job, knowing the math is locked in. It's not always the best. Continuing investment speeds full independence, but it shows options emerge early. Addressing objections: crashes, inflation, risk. Market drops are normal, every 4 years on average down 33%. But our 7.5% returns already factor in recessions. For accumulators, crashes are opportunities. Buy low via dollar cost averaging, accelerating progress. Don't panic sell, view it as the gap closing despite temporary dips. Inflation? The 4% rule accounts for it, tested against high inflation eras. Stocks hedge by rising with prices. Your crossover adjusts, but so does your portfolio. The real risk comparison: not investing exposes you to longevity risk, outliving savings, health issues forcing early retirement, or job loss. Depending solely on labor is riskier long-term. The crossover strategy has worked for consistent executors, backed by history. Here's the 5-step action plan to make this real. First, track real spending. Review 3 months of statements honestly. Most underestimate by 15 to 20%. Second, multiply monthly expenses by 12, then by 25 for your crossover number. Third, compare to current assets to see the gap. Fourth, calculate your timeline with online tools or formulas, using your actual investment rate. Fifth, compress it. Boost income via skills or hustles, cut expenses intelligently, invest windfalls. Every $1,000 invested is $40 yearly passive forever. Every $100 monthly cut shaves $30,000 off your target. The final reframe: every purchase costs money and time. A $1,200 phone upgrade isn't just cash, it's weeks of future work delayed. At 7.5% returns, it compounds against you, pushing crossover further. I'm not anti-spending. Understand the trade-off. Money is future freedom. See decisions as moving toward or away from crossover. Most people will earn millions of dollars over the course of their working lives. Not all at once, but slowly, paycheck by paycheck, year after year. And yet, somehow, most of that money disappears. It flows quietly into rent, mortgages, cars, subscriptions, lifestyle upgrades, and inflation. At the end of it all, after 4 or 5 decades of labor, many people reach retirement with little more than Social Security, roughly $1,800 a month, hoping it's enough to survive. Not thrive. Just survive. The crossover point offers a fundamentally different path. It's not an easy one, and it's certainly not fast. But it is clear. Save aggressively. Invest consistently. Reduce expenses intelligently, not through deprivation but through intention. If you follow those rules long enough, the math becomes unavoidable. The two lines will cross. And on some completely ordinary, forgettable day, you'll realize something quietly powerful. Your job needs you more than you need it. My name is Mikey, and I spend way too much time thinking about these invisible milestones. Those moments most people never notice, where life shifts from economic dependence toward personal sovereignty. If this video changed how you see money, work, or the timeline of your own life, consider subscribing, liking, and joining the channel. We're here to explore the deeper mechanics of money, not hype, not shortcuts, just the quiet math that reshapes lives over time. I'll see you next time.